If I had to describe Florence Harding in one word, I would pick the word determined. She was determined to propel her husband's career along. She was determined to be an advocate for women. She was determined to protect her husband's legacy. She was fierce in that way. People said, had Warren Harding not met Florence, he would have remained a small-town newspaper editor his whole life.
When she married Warren Harding, who was an editor of the Marion Star, she basically took over. He had actually had a nervous breakdown, and Florence stepped up and ran the newspaper. She was an extremely savvy businesswoman.
Florence Harding saw in Warren the ability for him to go very, very far in politics, and she pushed him to be involved in local politics, state politics, and to move up the ladder.
She really pushed Warren Harding into the presidency. And after he was inaugurated, she turned to him and said, I got you the presidency, now what are you going to do with it?
Florence Harding was different from the first ladies who came before her. She was the first lady to vote for her husband because she's the first lady after women were granted suffrage. And she was certainly the first lady to state openly and often that she was not just pro-suffrage, but a feminist. She did not wear a wedding ring. She used her maiden name on purpose, as other first ladies would after her.
She was a very strong activist in women's rights. Little things at that particular time. For instance, she invited divorced women into various socials and events, which broke an unwritten rule. She invited scientist Madame Curie to the White House to promote education for women.
She made sure that women's rights stayed on the national agenda. When Mrs. Harding became First Lady, one of the things she wanted to do was to open the White House again to all Americans. Because of Wilson's health and because of World War I, the White House had become closed to Americans.
Oftentimes she would come downstairs. The public were very excited when they'd walk in thinking that they were going to see a docent, and the First Lady would walk over and show them the house. The public loved her because she was so gracious and warm and entertaining.
Like many First Ladies, Florence Harding believed that she could read people better than her husband.
She was very opinionated about his cabinet. It was very important to her that her husband surround himself with the right people. Well, she also surrounded Warren Harding with men that he, unfortunately, could not control. It wasn't Warren Harding himself that was corrupt. It was his administration, and that infuriated Florence.
He died virtually alone in a hotel room in California, and when she refused an autopsy, she kicked off all sorts of suspicions that somehow she had been complicit in his death, which historians believe is not at all true. After his death, there were scandals rising to the surface. Mrs. Harding worked very hard to make sure that his legacy was a positive one. It did not work. We don't remember Harding among our top presidents.